What's up, everybody? So we're out in the shop, and because the weather hasn't been working with me, trying to finish the Camp Chef's knife, and me not being able to do or release the video for the scrap knife because I still got to put handle scales on it, I was trying to think, what should we go ahead and film? And if you've read the title, you know that it's going to be the chopper build. We're going to go ahead and start that process, start making that knife, and I don't know exactly how much I'm going to get done in today's video, but I do know that I want to get it to a point to where I can hold it in my hand and actually feel how the weight is going to be. So we are going to drill some holes, we're going to cut out some steel, we're going to do that part, and I'm excited about this one. I mean, this profile is one that I've wanted to make for a while now. I really like the handle profile on this. It is pretty much all of the cool things that I've done on my other knives all put into this one right here. So we're going to have a super thick knife, so 1/4 of an inch thick, 80 CRV2, and we're going to have a thick knife with beautiful plunge lines because they're going to be really aggressive. It's not a overly large blade. It is going to be heavy, but it's not because the blade is massive. Even though this is 11.5 inches long, it's going to be just super thick, which is going to be awesome, and I think it's just going to turn out great. We are going to go ahead and drill the holes for like the sharpening choil, the hole here, the holes back here, before we even cut the steel out. So that's going to be a little bit of a different process than what I typically do, but let's go ahead, let's jump into it, let's see what we can get knocked out. I mean, I'm starting this at 9 o'clock tonight, so I just want to get as much of this done as I can tonight, and that's what we're going to work on. So let's jump into it. So what we're doing here is we're just taking our template and putting it onto the steel and holding it down with some magnets. Nothing too fancy here. Getting our Sharpie, drawing out the outside line of the template. Now this I'm going to do with pretty much everything, but what I'm doing different here is I'm going to go ahead and center punch all of the holes that I measured out on the template itself and just use that for my measuring device, I guess you can say. But we're going to get the holes punched for all the pins that are going to be going through this handle, plus the hole that's at the bottom of the ricasso and the hole that's going to be going where the sharpening choil is. This will be the first time I actually use the drill to drill through the sharpening choil area to create the sharpening choil, as opposed to using files to do it. I saw that on Redbeard Ops channel and I thought, that's a pretty cool idea. I'm going to go ahead and do that and save myself some time later. Now we are using 3/16 drill bit to do the pin holes. The lanyard hole is going to be a 1/4 inch, and I'm going to be doing the 3/16 hole for the bottom of the ricasso and the sharpening choil. And then I will go back later and do some weight saving holes. Maybe not many, maybe just a couple of larger ones, but we'll see that whenever we go to the outro. Now when it comes to cutting out your outline or cutting on your outline that you drew on, it does not have to be exact because you're going to be using the belt grinder to smooth it back anyways and get your actual shape that you're going to end up with. So you can focus a lot on this, or you can just get the rough shape cut out and go ahead and do the rest on the 2x72 like I was saying. Now I did get a little sliver down here in between the bearing and the belt. Now you got to be careful because that little piece right there can snap this belt and you'll have to go get a new blade. So don't do that. That's you want to make sure that you stop the quarter band saw and get that pulled out of there before it snaps something. Now if you want to be able to do these curves like this, just go slow and slowly work your way back as you're doing the curve, and it will let you curve around pretty sharp, tight curves if you just take your time to do it. If you're rushing through it, it won't work that way. You'll have to make a bunch of different cuts, but I want to utilize as much of the scrap as possible, so I had to take my time on that. Now, I used to be one of the guys that would sit here and cut the 50 different lines over and over and over and over again in this little section, and then cut out all those little slivers. I don't really do that anymore. I figured out that you can do it just as fine like this, and so that's what I'm doing. And again, I don't need it to be exact because I'm going to be taking the 2x72 and shaping it back. Now, I do get a little picky, and I probably spend more time than I should have, because I could have spent way less time than I'm doing right here just by using the 2x72. Plus, these bigger pieces, they have less of a chance to get stuck and break this saw blade. There's our rough shape. So now it's time to take it over to the 2x72. And what I'm doing here is I'm just using the belt kind of hung over the side of the platen so that it's easier to get into those little rounded areas. And it works out real well. Now I'll tell you, this is going to be the time where you're going to take and modify your shape a little bit to what actually looks good on the steel. So you might change where your finger choil is a little bit, or adjust the length of the handle to what actually feels good in the hand, because holding a piece of paper versus holding a thick piece of steel is two different things, and you don't really realize that you need to add a little bit more to it or take a little bit more away until you start putting it in your hand. Once we got the shape done, we're just going to go ahead and start straightening everything, and we're going to start making it to where our sanding lines are all going parallel with the blade. This just makes some of the stuff that we do later a little bit easier. But we're just smoothing everything out, getting it all shaped how we want it. And I'll tell you that the blade was almost recurved from whenever I cut it with the quarter band saw, so I had to spend some time going ahead and flattening this. And you got to be careful with this, because I had drilled that hole and I could only go through and flatten it so much. If you don't pay attention, you could easily remove the metal in between that hole and the bottom of the blade and end up ruining this knife. So I had to spend a lot of time focusing on that to make it straight without getting too crazy on that area right there. So in the outro, we'll go ahead and show this off so you can see it up close. Alright guys, let's go ahead and wrap up today's video. Check that out. That is just an awesome profile. I really like how this is turning out. That handle feels great in the hand. It's a good size. This thing is super beefy, super heavy, but it'll get some of the weight taken out of it whenever I do the bevels, which I cannot wait to do. That is going to be what makes this. I mean, it looks like a knife now, but when you put the bevels on it, that is like the dang, that's a knife. And this is going to be a big knife. My last, the chopper that I did that was a drop point recurve, that one is about 1/4 of an inch shorter than this one. So that's how big this is. Plus, that one is not 1/4 of an inch thick like this. This thing is going to be beefy. It's going to have a real thick spine. I cannot wait to see this actually be a full-blown knife. Now, because of how thick it is, I will have to do a little bit thinner handle scales. I've got an idea how I'm going to end up doing them, but for the handle scale material, we're going with this right here. This beautiful stabilized box elder burl from Corey Scott. This is going to look absolutely beautiful on this knife. And guys, just remember, the blade steel and the handle material both came from Corey Scott. And I'm actually going to hit on something because of that. And I've hit on it in a couple of the videos. But I want y'all to understand something. My P.O. box is there for a reason. If you want me to utilize stuff that you make, send me an email and say, hey Eric, I make this thing and I think it would be pretty cool if you use it on your channel. And I will use that stuff on the channel. Make sure that whenever you do that, that you give me a suggestion on what I should probably make out of it. And that might end up happening. We'll see. And then make sure you leave me your website or your Etsy or your Facebook, Instagram, however you end up selling that particular stuff so that I can put it in the description of the videos that I utilize those particular materials in, just like I do for Corey Scott. And by the way, if you want to check out some awesome handle scale material, go to Corey Scott's Etsy page. It's in the description below. Check it out. You know what? Give him some love. And I absolutely want to do this stuff with y'all. It's like mini collaborations. I think it's awesome. Just go ahead, get in touch with me, and let me know. But guys, that's pretty much the end of this one. If y'all would, give this video a thumbs up, share this video or one of my videos I've done in the past. And guys, bottom corner, hit that subscribe button so you get notified of the stuff that we have coming up. Plus, I love stabbing the subscribe button with the knife. I wouldn't suggest y'all do that. Don't stab the subscribe button with your own knives. You might end up hurting what you're watching this on. Guys, thank y'all for coming by. Thank y'all for spending your time with me. Y'all have an amazing day. Y'all stay safe out there. And I'll catch y'all next time.